beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, we are starting late because our colleagues from the MPP had a caucus meeting, and there was a few miscommunication when the meeting finished. And that is why we are starting at this time. What I can say is for caucuses to always give prior notice to the Speaker so that we can get the information across to members. I know some members are always here before 10, and to keep them always waiting until this time is unfair. So let's caucuses inform Speaker, then Speaker could pass on the word to members to know approximately when Parliament will be meeting. I think that could better serve the purpose of all of us than we are doing now. We may also, as things are happening, reconsider the time of the meeting, so that when we say we are meeting at this time, everybody knows we are meeting at that time. The standing orders will be coming before us very soon for discussion. But my attention has been drawn to one legal issue which I intend to discuss with leadership before we can talk about the next process. I think the chairman of the committee has informed me, but the information has leaked to me that there's a very fine legal rule that we have to consider in terms of the processes and the nature and the legal import of the standing orders vis-à-vis the provisions of the Constitution. So we'll look at that and finally determine the process to use. With this, you are welcome to today's proceedings. I don't have a message from His Excellency the President. I will proceed to correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. And so we start with the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 27th October 2021. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4, page 5, page 6. Yes, Honorable Blackwell.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, at page 6, item number 4.2, I have been marked absent, but I was here yesterday. So if the records could be corrected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, the records of the correction of proceedings clearly shows that you were present yesterday. Yes, table office, kindly take note. Page 7. Yes, Honorable Ayine.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Page 7, item 36. I was also marked absent, Mr. Speaker, but I was here yesterday.
Table office, kindly take note. I can testify to that. He was present. Page 8, sorry, page 7.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, back to page 6. I was here present yesterday, but unfortunately I've been marked absent. So,
Table office, kindly take note. Your number is item 4.
On page 6, number 18, and members who were absent, but I was present.
Item 418.
Yes.
Yes.
418.
I want you to know that.
Yes, sir. 418.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because there are 2 18s at that page.
Yes, the second 18. 418.
All right.
Thank you.
Honourable members, as the Member of Parliament for Asojaman. Page 8. Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Item 4, number 90. Honourable Zedem Beat and Wat Houseman was here yesterday, but he's marked absent. Thank you.
Yes, that's the last name of item 4, which is at page 8. He was present yesterday. Kindly take note, table office. Yes, Honourable.
Mr. Speaker, let's go back
That's Honourable Dalu.
Let's go back to page 7.
Sorry, is that Honourable Dalu?
I was here yesterday, but I'll be marked absent. Number 45, page 7. Come again. Oh, Thomas Dalu is my name, Chanapala.
Is that Honourable Dalu?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, and you said number
45, page 7.
Oh, you
Members absent, but I was here yesterday.
That's the Member of Parliament for China Paga. So take note, number 45 at page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Page 10, 8A. 8A reads, with your permission, by the Honourable Minister responsible for chieftaincy and religious affairs. There's a full stop there, but I think there should be a comma there instead.
Yes, table office, the honourable member is right. It should be comma, not a full stop. So kindly take note. Page 11. Page 12. Yes, Honourable Blackwell.
Right Honourable, item number 1 on page 12, the first paragraph. I believe acquisition should suffice. there was no, it wasn't about renovation. We can say attempted acquisition or just acquisition, because it's a matter now before the Norwegian courts. So just if we can delete renovation and just leave it as either acquisition or attempted acquisition. No need for renovation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And so you want the sentence to read on the attempted acquisition of a property. Yes, table office, please take note. I hope the chairman of the committee is here, but I can't see him. And you are the ranking, so we take that as an authority. Page 13. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. With your permission, I want us to go back to page 11. Page 11, number 10. There's a similar correction there. Number 10 on adjournment. And at 10 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there should be a comma here before we proceed with the sentence.
Well, the table office, your attention is being drawn to issues of punctuation. And so kindly take note. It's not only after that place you should have a comma. As you go on, you see there are other areas you need to put it there. Honorable Seidu, the MP for Nalirgu, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the second sitting of the third meeting of the first session held on Wednesday, 27th October 2021, as corrected, are adopted as the true records of proceedings. I have a copy of an official report of Thursday, 24th June 2021. Any corrections? There being no corrections to the official report of Thursday, 24th June 2021, the said report is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honourable members, we move to item 5 on the order paper, statements. We have a number of statements, admitted a few. And I think we'll allow members to present those statements and we'll listen to comments. The member for Efutu, the Deputy Majority Leader, will make a statement. And the member for Wadaso will make a statement on breast cancer. and the member for Bole Bamboy will make a statement on the rising cement prices. I think after that, the House will move to consider other issues. Then tomorrow we'll continue with the statements. So we start with the statement by Honorable Alexander Kwamina Afenyo Markin, Deputy Majority Leader, Member of Parliament for Efutu constituency, on a successful Qatari parliamentary election. Honorable Member, you may do so now.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this treasure space to make a statement congratulating the good people of Qatar for a successful parliamentary election. Mr. Speaker, the election was held on the 2nd of October 2021, following an announcement by Qatar's Emir on August 22nd, 2021. This groundbreaking event in governance almost did not happen, but the intervention of Emir Tamam bin Hamad Al Thani ensured that the elections were held without fail in October 2021. It was previously postponed in June 2013. Mr. Speaker, Qatar, a Western Asian country, has a relatively small population with approximately 2.8 million people and manages to be the world's richest with 138,910 per capita. The country has enjoyed appreciable level of political stability within the Arab world. Qatar was the only country in the Middle East and North Africa region not affected by the Arab Spring uprising, with a Global Peace Index recently naming Qatar as the region's most peaceful country. Mr. Speaker, on October 2nd, 2021, as aforementioned, Qataris voted for 2/3 of the Advisory Shura Council in the Gulf Arab states' first legislative elections. Qatar's internal ministry announced that 63.5% of eligible voters took part in the election for 30 seats on the 45-member body, with the remaining 15 council members being appointed by the Emir. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Qatar described the vote as a new experiment and indicated that the Council cannot be expected to have full role of Parliament in the first year. The Qataris are very much interested in building their own bureaucracy to support democratic governance and have shown their capabilities to have successfully completed an election. This is progressive. The elections in Qatar indicate that the ruling Al Thani family is willing to take the idea of ensuring that there is power sharing and participatory democracy, and this step taken demonstrates seriousness. Women were also represented in the elections, with 29 candidates running in the election. Although none of them won any seat, it still shows positive signs of inclusiveness and democratic governance, and this must be commended. Mr. Speaker, Qatar holds Economic Forum in Doha, March 2022. Ghana and Qatar can collaborate to help boost trade and industry, particularly as our country is championing the rollout of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Qatar has also done excellently well in the region in the area of housing, and Ghana can exercise its potential by closely working with industry players with demonstrable experience and financial capability. Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying that we as a parliament can take advantage by ensuring that there's parliamentary friendship association between Ghana and Qatar so that we can work together to enrich knowledge. I take this opportunity once again, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate the good people of Qatar and their efforts in building parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful indeed to you for this opportunity.
Yes, honorable members, any comments? Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
I'm most grateful, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement celebrating the Kingdom of Qatar on the successful conduct of parliamentary elections, which has been eloquently delivered by the Deputy Majority Leader, my respected colleague. Mr. Speaker, the developments in Qatar are very refreshing and welcome by all democracy lovers and good governance watchers. Mr. Speaker, we all know that Qatar has been an absolute monarchy, and it had long been thought that the Thani family, which is the ruling family, will not be keen to welcome multi-party democracy, and that they will maintain the regime of absolute or total monarchy. But, Mr. Speaker, the King has signaled a new dawn, and it is clear that Qatar is opening up for democracy, for the opportunity of the Qatari people to choose their own representatives. And Mr. Speaker, that is very welcome indeed. We know of many, many monarchs like the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Spain, and many others who have had this kind of a hybrid arrangement historically, and it has served their countries well, where the monarchs increasingly retreat into more ceremonial status and allow for elected political leaders to spearhead the day-to-day administration of their respective jurisdictions. It appears that that is what the Qatari monarchy is introducing. And Mr. Speaker, I know that you in particular have been very keen about parliamentary diplomacy, and you have encouraged us to reach out to our colleagues in other parliaments in other jurisdictions and to forge strong partnership. And that is why you personally inaugurated the Parliamentary Friendship Association, and you have been seeing to the formation of various parliamentary friendship groups. I'm sure that in no time the Parliamentary Friendship Association Board will be happily welcoming our newly elected colleagues in the Parliament of Qatar, and we shall be forming a very strong partnership. Mr. Speaker, We all know that Qatar is a very important country. As our colleague has said, they have been very, very stable. And if you look at the United Nations Human Development Index for that sub-region, it has a very high HDR. Indeed, it is third only to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So the quality of life in Qatar is very, very high. And I do also know, Mr. Speaker, that we have a good number of our compatriots who are working in Qatar. They are very welcoming because of a relatively small population, under 3 million, and they have so much oil wealth. The GDP is so high, Mr. Speaker. It has led to a situation where, when it comes to the workforce, they rather like to welcome other nationals. So you have a lot of Africans, you have a lot of Filipinos, people from Thailand, and all of that working in that country. The only matter of concern related to their culture of welcoming many workers from abroad, immigrant workers, has been the conditions under which these immigrant workers ply their trade. There have been concerns that sometimes some of the families do not treat their workers, particularly domestic workers, kindly. Human rights concerns are raised. But to be fair to the authorities in Qatar, they have taken steps to improve on those matters. And I know of a number of reforms that have taken place recently. They even sent in a paper to the AU to highlight some of the reforms that are taking place so that African migrant workers can feel safe and feel welcome in that country. Mr. Speaker, finally, as a lover of football and an ardent supporter of the Black Stars, we all know that Qatar will be the next host of the World Cup from the 21st of November to 18th December 2022. The international spotlight, the whole attention of the world will be on Qatar, which is the country to host. They themselves have not been really famous for being a football nation, but it is clear that in recent times they are investing in football infrastructure. They attracted a number of players, some from our country, very good footballers, and they pay very well. And so a lot of good footballers are looking to that country. I'm hoping that the Black Stars will qualify for the World Cup so that we can all join them to that country, or even if we have to cheer them remotely from back home, we will render our support. I do not want to go into some of the controversies that came up when they won the bid. I'm sure that FIFA has a capacity to look into some of those concerns that was raised by a country like United Kingdom. But what is clear is that Qatar is doing so well. I monitored the latest FIFA inspection team, and it's clear that Qatar has a green light. They are very much ready to host the world. So we can only congratulate Qatar for this feat, and to say that, Mr. Speaker, democracy is the best option of government. Despite all of the criticisms, it remains man's best way of governing, and there has been no other better form of government invented. So Qatar is much welcome to the Committee of Democratic Nations, and we are looking forward.
The first Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
Can you continue?
Yeah, thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker. As a Speaker, I was concluding by welcoming Qatar to the Committee of Democratic Nations and saying that I am also very excited about the development, like my colleague, the Deputy Leader of the House, and we are looking forward to forging strong parliamentary diplomatic ties with the newly elected members of the Qatar Parliament. I thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Does the leadership wish to make a comment on this one? Yes, Honorable Deputy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make few comments on this statement ably written and presented by the Deputy Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, I join him to congratulate Qatar on their successful election. Just that, Mr. Speaker, in reading the statement, it's about 29 women candidates contested for the election, even though none of them was elected. And he goes ahead to say that it was a good move to show that the people of Qatar are ready to share power in terms of gender basis, even though none of the female candidates won the elections. Mr. Speaker, while I'm commending the people of Qatar for a good election, Mr. Speaker, in Africa, one would say Libya used to be the Qatar of the African continent. And we know the contribution of Qatar. Those who used to go to, the youth who used to go to Libya in those days, after the destruction in Libya, have now turned their direction to Qatar. So a lot of Ghanaian youth sometimes even migrate to Qatar, and when you go, you see a lot of them making positive economic contribution in those areas. So if there's democracy or election in Qatar, people will begin to have some extended freedoms, because we know democracy comes with freedoms. But Mr. Speaker, why we are congratulating them, we must also let them know democracy is good, but a misguided democracy will not lead you to a better destination. Qatar, even though they've just had their parliament, but we know how institutions in Qatar were doing well. One can talk of Qatar Airways. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to compare. Even though we had our parliament, we had our democracy, our Ghana Airways could not compete with Qatar Airways. So, Mr. Speaker, they must not be complacent that in accepting democracy and having their parliament, they will relent on some of the very foundation of their strong institutions that were making these economic gains. Mr. Speaker, I remember we had the opportunity to travel to Qatar, to Doha, on, I think it was IPU, meeting with Honorable Majority Leader and the Right Honorable former Speaker of this serving Parliament, Professor Kofi. But Mr. Speaker, their culture, their hospitality, their enthusiasm and the way they went about their work. Mr. Speaker, even the venue for the program, one could see that they were a very serious people and a very serious nation. So when you see some of the gains that they have made and how they've expanded their economy, that even youth in other countries are migrating there in search of economic survival. Mr. Speaker, it is not just by magic. It is by a very concerted effort. We have much to learn from them, even though they are also learning from us democratically. But to conclude, Mr. Speaker, I just want to end by saying that they must add on to what they used to do at first. But they shouldn't say they will have unlimited freedom. Because when you give unlimited freedom, unlimited rights, uncontrolled rights, Mr. Speaker, you may not be able to get to a certain destination. Those days, during the age of enlightenment, people had to sign a social contract, but giving part of their rights for the collective good. And I think that is what Qatar has accepted, and they must do and do it well. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you and the maker of the statement for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to also add my voice to the statement made by the Deputy Majority Leader. Let me congratulate the Deputy Majority Leader for bringing this statement to the House, Speaker, in respect of the successful conduct of parliamentary elections in Qatar. Speaker, I believe we should use this occasion to congratulate Qatar, the Islamic Republic, for choosing this path of national development, the path of governance from what the status quo has been all this while. Mr. Speaker, we should pray that this transition does not suffer any turbulence, because it's new to them, and that they'll be able to keep faith with the new investment that they have made. Mr. Speaker, Qatar, over the past few years, has witnessed unprecedented development. And that, in my view, is a product of the continuity in governance that they've had. Yes, it's until the introduction of parliamentary democracy, it was a kingdom. And indeed, even with the parliamentary democracy, it remains a kingdom. Mr. Speaker, the rulers have not been overly domineering, and they've spread the proceeds of the oil and gas that God indeed has given them to affect development in the place. And today in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker, I believe Qatar compares favorably with the icon of the Middle East, which is the Emirates, indeed Dubai. Mr. Speaker, the other day when we went there, we really witnessed heaven on earth when the Speaker, the then Speaker, myself, the Honorable Ahmed, the Deputy Whip to the minority, went there, and I think the evening when they were taking us on a tour, our own president had been invited to the place, and we saw their palace. The Speaker, even from afar, were wondering whether that palace belongs to this planet called Earth. It was a spectacle to behold. The Speaker tells that the rulers have really spread the proceeds of the oil wealth to develop the country. And Mr. Speaker, everywhere you went, you could see what they were doing for their populace. To the extent that, as obtained in Dubai, they have enclaves for widows and widowers, for the state to take full charge of the widows village. Mr. Speaker, I believe those residences that they had constructed will compare with mansions in Ghana, the widows' enclaves. And if you entered any of them, you see the facilities that were contained in the enclaves for the widows. Mr. Speaker, so Qatar really is taking to a certain otherwise unforeseen extent the levels of development for not only the country but the citizens of Qatar. The Speaker, they guard jealously the citizenship of Qatar, and they don't allow anybody from anywhere to come and claim citizenship easily. You can't have it, even if you stayed for 20 years. You will not be accorded citizenship regardless. You'll be given the opportunity to come and serve. After that, you go to your country of origin, which is why they are able, is one of the reasons why they're able to cater for their own. Mr. Speaker, the workforce includes so many people from various places, from various countries. And of course, there were Ghanaians there. The Speaker, we were told that the Ghanaians, they are well catered for, most of them. And most of them are professionals. Even those of them who go pushing for jobs are well catered for, including house helps. But there are a few of them who went uninvited, and they were finding it difficult to really find work to do. And the consulate at the time appealed that we find a way to regularize, government should find a way to regularize the work regime of those of them who had come there, just as Philippines, Indonesia, and those far eastern countries had also done, Thailand inclusive. And the people who migrated from there to come and work in Qatar are well replenished. The Speaker, the amounts given to them would be the envy of professionals in Ghana. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that they should be urged on to continue on this new chosen path. They are used to the kingdom all this while, and certainly along the way they may experience some turbulence, but we should just let them be aware that the path that they have chosen is not paved with gold, and certainly if they are determined, they could overcome the initial hiccups and rise above that to improve the lot of their citizens by giving voice to their citizenry. Mr. Speaker, having said that, the other thing that my colleague, the Honorable Okujeto, has mentioned is in respect of their hosting of the World Cup tournament in 2022. The Speaker, when we went there, he took us to some of the stadia that they had built at the time, state of the art. And if you entered, the Speaker, I have not entered any stadium anywhere in the world that measures to what they have built in Qatar. And we wonder how they came to do that. In the midst of such heat, what they've been able to do to mitigate the outrageous temperatures and to allow for football players to enter and play and not be affected negatively by the natural temperatures of obtaining in Qatar. My only hope is that our own dear Black Stars will be able to qualify to contest and indeed compete in that tournament. We wish them the best and wish Qatar the best in this new endeavor that they have purposed to undertake. God bless their effort. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Very well. I'll move on to the next statement. The next statement is on the death of the Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda, former Member of Parliament, by Honorable Samson Tongumbu Chiragia, Member of Parliament for Nabrongo Central. Honorable Member for Nabrongo Central. Very well. I'll move on to another one. You're here. Very well. You may read your statement now.
Mr. Speaker, please can you just give me 10 minutes so you can move to the next?
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Look at him. The cameras have captured you for your constituency.
Mr. Speaker, if I may.
Yes, I give you the floor, Leader.
The Honorable Kennedy Osei Nyaku, the member for Akim Suedu, is programmed to attend some other events. And I'm just going to plead that we alter the program for the transaction of business to allow for the honorable member to do his presentation and first reading of his private member's bill. So, if you could just allow the honorable member to do that, just that, and then we can go back to the other one. In respect of item 7 on page 5 of the other book. I will have to enter public business and then to allow him to do it, and then later we can recline.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think what the Honorable Majority Leader is saying will help us so that we can be served with copies of the statement from the Honorable Member from Nabrongo Central. Mr. Speaker, he was begging for the 10 minutes because originally the statement was not supposed to be taken today. It was supposed to have been the statement from the Honorable Member from Bole Bamwe, who has traveled for the Dama Festival, and that is why his was going to be replaced. So if it's not well organized and copies are not here, the 10 minutes, give us copies, so that by the time the Honorable Kennedy finishes, we may be able to go through. I think the original copy has been given, so we can make photocopies.
Yes, the application before me is to vary the study of this and allow go to presentation of bills. Since that's agreeable to the leadership of the House, I hereby vary the standing of this and go to item 7. Presentation and first reading of bills by the Honorable Member for Achim Swedro, Mr. Kennedy Osei.
An Act to amend the Citizenship Act 2000, Act 591, to remove restrictions imposed on dual citizens from holding certain public offices specified in subsection 2 of section 16 of Act 591.
Honourable members, the bill is read the first time. It's referred to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs to consider and report. Now, Honourable Member for Nabrongo Central, are you ready now? Are you ready to read the statement? If you are, I'll return.
Mr. Speaker,
leader asked for copies, so they've gone to do the copies.
At the commencement of public business, presentation of papers. Item number 6, Honorable Majority Leader, your ministers are not here. I can't see the Minister for Education, neither can I see the Minister for Transport. Yes.
The Speaker, the Deputy Minister of Education is here. Deputy Minister of Education. So you could stand in for the substantive minister.
Yes. Honorable Minority Leadership, the Deputy Minister will lay it on behalf of the Minister. Do you have any objection to that?
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Deputy Minister for Education is one of us. And I think he has represented the Minister of Substantive Ministers on several occasions. He's more than able to do this business, provided the Honorable Minister for Education has given him the mandate to lay the papers on her behalf.
He has, otherwise she won't present herself. Yes, Honorable Minister for Education, item AI.
Annual statements by the Audit Committee of the Takoradi Technical University for the year 2020.
The paper is duly presented. Is referred to the Committee of Education to consider and report. II.
Annual statements by the Audit Committee of the Procedural Technical University for the year 2020.
The paper is duly. Yes, Honorable Leader. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, yesterday we had a very lengthy debate on the status of the referrals of those annual audit reports. We were of the view that what you have done was what's supposed to have been done. But Mr. Speaker disagreed with us and ruled by saying that the annual audit report must be referred to the Public Accounts Committee, even though the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee added by saying that the committee will be over-inundated with work, and therefore this should be referred to the sector committees. So now, yesterday, those that were late were referred to the Public Accounts Committee. Today, you are referring them to the sector committees. So it's like there are two rules. Yesterday rule different, today's rule different. So I think we have to. But what you have done is what we used to be doing, and that is what we were saying yesterday.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
The Speaker, the Public Accounts Committee, by the Constitution, deals with reports from the Auditor General. They don't deal with internal audit reports. They don't. By the provisions of the Constitution, they deal with Auditor General's inquisition into the expenditures of the various MDAs. These are not Auditor General's reports. I wasn't here yesterday, but the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee is indicating to me that there was some debate on it, and the Speaker referred them to the Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Speaker, I don't think we can use a backdoor to maybe challenge the Speaker's ruling. So maybe because Mr. Speaker, I will plead that we step this down and have some consultation on that. But I disagree that it should go to public accounts. because the Constitution is clear. The Public Accounts Committee deals with the reports from the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, if the report, the position is at the instance of the Auditor General, then it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. But the internal audit doesn't go to the Public Accounts Committee. I'm saying that the audit that is conducted internally, I should say, not by the internal audit committee, but is done internally, that should go to the relevant sector committee. That is what I think. And that is why, appropriately, it was referred to the sector committees. So, Mr. Speaker, but since the Speaker has ruled on it, I will plead that we step this down and resolve it, so that we don't have this referral and counter-referral and so on.
Yes, Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I agree with the majority leader that we step these papers down for further discussion before it is late. Because yesterday there was a debate on this issue, whether it should come to PAC or to the sector committees. And the Speaker eventually ruled that it should come to the Public Accounts Committee. So we need a further discussion before this comes up. So if you look at the votes and proceedings for yesterday, on page 10, you see that about 5 items that were laid yesterday were all referred to the Public Accounts Committee. So, Mr. Speaker, if we can step it down for further discussion.
So fine.
Very well. Otherwise, I was going to reverse and go by the orders or the ruling of Mr. Speaker. But in view of the agreement by the leadership, I will stand down or defer the presentation of all the papers as listed in item 6, which have to do with internal audit reports. So, item 6A, Honorable Deputy, yes.
Mr. Speaker, the report we are referring to is actually not internal audit report. It's report of the audit committee, which is different from internal audits.
Very well. Audit committee's report, all those statements emanating and stated as audit committee's report from the various institutions under the Ministry of Education are stood down. In that case, leaders, I suggest that we stand down also item B, because they are practically the same things. Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker. No. He has crossed. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. The cameras saw. Mr. Speaker, the man has crossed. He has crossed offense. Mr. Speaker, he has crossed.
Honorable members, order. Can you let me listen to him after that? I'll listen to you. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this is the third time. He first had an opportunity to make a statement, read the statement. There was a problem. Now, finally, it appears he wants to join us. So, Mr. Speaker, he has crossed. Mr. Speaker, he has crossed. There must be by-election, Mr. Speaker. That is the position.
So under which order are you making your application?
Speaker, I'm invoking your inherent jurisdiction.
I'm not aware that the Speaker has an inherent jurisdiction in this chamber.
He didn't attend orientation. The Speaker, I'm sure he didn't attend orientation because you don't cross here.
Yes, Honourable.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to draw the attention of my respected colleague that the statement you have admitted, which is about to be read, is a very bipartisan one. And it is one that requires a lot of cooperation and partnership. And it is in that spirit that he is attempting to share the statement to both sides of the aisle. And it was a very well-intentioned statement to celebrate the Honorable Kofi Adda from your side, who unfortunately has left us. So it's within that spirit. So the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader can let matters slide. He didn't even fully overstep his bounds. He just wants you to have copies of the statement. So in the spirit of bipartisanship, I believe we can let it pass, Mr. Speaker.
Well, but the real issue I want to be addressed on is what is the offense, even if he crossed the maze? What does the standing order say about crossing the maze? That so that we'll be guided. Honorable Majority Leader, if he actually crossed, what would have been the offense he committed under our rules?
Oh, Mr. Speaker, if he had actually crossed, that would have been the actus. Then the mens would have been the expression of the intention to us here that he's no more interested there. Mr. Speaker, yes. It doesn't matter. Mr. Speaker, he can cross and come and make a statement. They didn't allow him to conclude on the second step. Mr. Speaker, it was clear that he would have made a statement, but they timely intervened to keep their own. Yeah. Mr. Speaker's question, I've answered as I understood it to be.
Order to fire.
Very well. Yes, the Honourable Deputy Whip.
Mr. Speaker, not too long ago, when the majority side, where their numerical strength was 169, Mr. Speaker, about 30 of them were sitting on this side of the maze. Mr. Speaker, because this side, even though the maze is here, the bar is here, the procession used to be here, in the 7th Parliament, about 30 of the majority side were sitting with us here. The Speaker, they were always sitting on the other side of the maze. The Speaker, at that time, my distinguished colleague was always here, but he didn't comment on that. They were sitting on the other side of the maze. So this one, there's no statement, that's why you ask which order. And there's no order that the Honourable Member for Navrongo Central has gone against. So the by-election, I thought it was a different thing my leader was talking about. So, Mr. Speaker, we are in your hands.
Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, parliamentary practice. If a member leaves the confinement where his party is confined to another site, yes, it means that you have left your party. Mr. Speaker, is the reason why our constitution provides, for instance, in Article 97, a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament if he leaves the party for which he was a member at the time of election to parliament to join another party, normally you have places consigned to political parties. Yes. So if you leave to sit where your party is not to sit, it is referred to as crossing the carpet. The Speaker, that is parliamentary practice. That's right. Which you must be educated on. Can you listen to me? Mr. Speaker, so we don't necessarily have to write. Yes. You don't necessarily have to write. And he's saying that, oh, some people sat at the other side. Mr. Speaker, it is because of the configuration, this horseshoe configuration of the House. You cannot say, for instance, when we first came in 1997, our own enclave was just this side, because the number was just 61. The NDC was 2/3 of the House at the time. So they occupied the entirety of this place, except, I think, 4 or 5 seats. Right? We were just here. So, Mr. Speaker, when you cross the face of the mace, as it stands, that's why when you get here, you must bow. The man was determined not to bow, but to cross to the other side. But that is in the nicer way. I believe we can go on with our business. Mr. Speaker, it is good to learn from best practice. You don't necessarily have to write.
I think the real issue I wanted us to take note of is crossing the mace itself is not the issue. But any time you have to cross the mace, you must stop and bow. Because members move across. This is actually encouraged. Some members speak to friends on the other side. But any time you must cross, you must stop and bow to the mace. That is what I encourage every member to observe. But otherwise, I don't think that we should construe going to speak to a friend on the other side means you have vacated your seat. No. Honorably, I intend to proceed if it is on the same matter. If it is on another matter, yes.
It's on the same matter. But I just want to draw the attention of the House that the member didn't even cross. That's one. Secondly, when he was making an attempt to cross, he even bowed from here before going. Yeah, he bowed from here before going. So, Mr. Speaker, there's no offense.
That is not where we must bow before the mace. It means that he didn't get to the mace.
Case, he must be charged for wrongful bowing.
Very well. And first, honorably, that we are still in public business. Shall I suspend all the laying of the audit committee reports for now?
Mr. Speaker, so I believe the Finance Committee could present their reports on the petroleum funds.
Yes, all the issues under G are different, but
the G.
Yes, A
to F. Yes,
may be stood down until we resolve where they should go.
Absolutely.
Very well. Very well. So, item G, by the chairman of the committee, I, Finance Committee. Yes.
Speaker, if I could do so on behalf of the chairman of the committee, as a member of the committee.
Very well. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Majority Leader is a member of the Finance Committee. And I know he's a busy person. So he can be laying the report on behalf of the chairman.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader, you may do so now.
Report of the Finance Committee on the annual report on the petroleum funds for the 2020 fiscal year.
The report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item II. Sorry.
Report of the Finance Committee on the annual report on the collection and utilization of the African Union Import Levy for the 2020 fiscal year.
A report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item III.
Report of the Finance Committee on the annual public debt management report for the 2020 financial year.
The report is duly presented, is referred to the, is for distribution to members. Item IV.
28. Report of the Finance Committee on the annual report on the management of the energy sector levies and accounts for the year 2020.
The report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item 8. Item 8. I'm supposed to present the report of the Pan-African Parliament. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here. None of my other members is in the House. Yes, Leader.
With respect, if we could go back to enable our very honorable member for Navrongo Central. We can go back to enable him make his statements.
Very well, I'll do so, but I want to defer motion item number 8, motion. My other committee members are not in the chamber, so we'll do it tomorrow. So motion item number 8 is deferred. So we'll go back to statements, and I'll now invite the Honourable Member for Navrongo Central to read a statement on the Honourable Adda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tribute on the floor of Parliament on the death of Honourable Joseph Kofi Adda, former MP, Member of Parliament, Navrongo Central. Mr. Speaker, the phone call of the late Honourable Joseph Kofi Adda, the immediate past Member of Parliament for the Navrongo Central constituency, which is an event occurred on Wednesday, 13th October 2021 at the Lebanon Hospital. Mr. Speaker, the late Honourable Kofi Joseph Kowe Adda was born in Navrongo, the capital of the Canadian state of the Upper East region of Ghana, in 1956. He had his secondary education at St. John's Secondary, and later obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Politics and Economics from the Indiana Wesleyan University, Maron in Indiana, United States, where he studied from 1979 to 1982. Mr. Speaker, between 1982 and 1984, he was at Columbia University, New York, where he obtained a master's degree in international affairs, specialized in finance and banking. He went on to obtain a graduate certificate in African Studies from the same university in 1989. He obtained a certificate in French language and civilization from the Stockholm University Paris, France. Mr. Speaker, the late Honorable Kofi Joseph Adda was a financial economist and a management consultant, worked as a current executive officer at the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Ghana in 1979. Between 1983 and 1984, he was a research analyst intern at the Third World Trade Institute, New York, USA. Over the next 2 years, he was an accounts executive and management trainee at Equitable Financial Institution in New Jersey, USA. Mr. Speaker, the late Honorable Kofi Adda also worked at Essex Country College, New Jersey, in 1986 to 1988. Thompson Security International, New York, in 1989 to 1991, and Deloitte and Tooth Consultant, West Africa, Accra International, Ghana, Limited, between 1996 to 2000. He worked in various capacities at the Ministry of Finance in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda was first elected a Member of Parliament of the Lagos Central Constituency in 2003 in the by-elections followed the death of the then incumbent MP, Honorable Joseph John Achiuwa. He retained the seat in the 2004 parliamentary elections. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Adda was appointed Minister for Manpower Development and Employment by then His Excellency President John Kofi in 2005. In the Cabinet reshuffle in April 2006, he was moved to the Energy Ministry as Minister. Honorable Kofi Adda again retained the seat in 2008 parliamentary elections, even though the MPP lost the presidential elections. He, however, lost the seat in 2012 general elections to Honorable Mark Owe Oyongo of NDC. The 2016 elections, the late Honorable Kofi Adda recaptured the Congo Central seat on the ticket of MPP and was appointed Ghana First of our Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources by His Excellency, the President of Ghana, President Nana Addo. He was later transferred to the Aviation Ministry, where he served until the end of the 7th Parliament of the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, the late Honorable Adda was an MP for all, devoid of any discrimination based on party, gender, religious, or ethnic lines. He was a man who did not have a mean bone in his body, a warm, friendly man who made his mark in the world, not with grand gesture or fancy titles, but by the basic goodness and generosity of his character, by the qualities of his involvement with the fellow men and how he brought out his qualities in others. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Adda distinguished himself in all the ministerial positions he held and was also an outstanding legislator. His warm, affable character endeared him to a lot of people, and himself as at the constituency and in Accra, where always bosom with the constituents and even others not from his constituency. No wonder he was often referred to as Guru. Mr. Speaker, one of the exciting things that Honorable Adda was that he was not just serving his country and constituency, he also knew how to check his ego against excesses and conducted himself with utmost humility. Moreover, he was able to put aside partisan consideration wherever necessary and work for the common good of the constituency and the country. Indeed, he never viewed anyone who disagreed with him as an enemy. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda was a strong pillar in the constituency with the strength, passion for youth and women development. He was always with the market women, helping them to grow and manage their businesses, and also the young entrepreneurs to set up and manage their various businesses. Mr. Speaker, his passion for farming made him build a house near the Tono Education Project and use that opportunity to understand the plight of the farmer to help them increase their produce. He also established a large livestock farm within the same locality and a crop farm in Tomu in the Upper West region where he cultivated maize to feed the livestock. Indeed, it is said that he returned from the farm at Tomu as usual and passed on the following dawn. Honorable Adda was caring, approachable, and responsible to the fault, and his demise is a big blow to the entire constituency and beyond. Mr. Speaker, it is Mr. Speaker, it is undeniable fact that the late Honorable Adda's death is a huge loss to the Congo Central constituency, the Upper East region, and the nation as a whole. On a personal level, I have lost a very special advisor. I learned a lot from him, but I could have learned more. Like, and often I am only consoled by the saying that life are like rivers. Eventually they go where they must, not where they want to go. Mr. Speaker, the late Honorable Joseph Adda left behind his lovely wife and children, and we pray that the good Lord gives them the fortitude to withstand the huge loss occasioned by the loss of his colossus. The Guru will certainly be remembered for many things, particularly for his persistence to achieving whatever he set his mind to do. My condolence and sympathy goes to the wife, Madam Victoria, and children Justice and Ellison, and the whole family. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes. Honorable member for Tano North or South?
Tano North, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the statement made by my colleague from Navrongo. I'm so hurt this afternoon, and I commiserate with the family, the immediate family, the MPP family. Honorable Adda, as my colleague on the other side, referred to him as an MP for all. He was such an affable man, very accommodating, always ready to offer a helping hand. I had the opportunity to work closely with him when he was the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. We shared a common block. Either I met him on the staircase or in the elevator, or sometimes I just took pains to visit him in his office. He will always advise you When you have problems, when you have issues, you share with him, he would advise you. We didn't hear about his sickness. We didn't hear anything. One day he called me to his office. My sister, I have a present for you. I have a parcel for you. And he bought me a very rich kente from the north. I cherished it. I still have that kente. Last week when I picked up the kente cloth, I said, oh, Honorable Adda, when will I get the second one from you? We've lost a gem. We've lost a brother. We've lost a friend. And like my colleague rightly referred to him, he had a soft spot for gender issues. He had a soft spot for young people in his constituency. He didn't side with MPP constituents. He sided with his constituency. And I'm happy that my brother on the other side has attested to the fact that he used to advise him, and he's going to miss that little bits of advices from Honorable Adda. As we mourn him this afternoon, we should also look back and reflect on our lives. Just a week ago, he was with us. Today, he's no more. What went wrong? Are we taking good care of ourselves? Are we visiting the health centers? Are we finding out exactly what is happening around us? Members of Parliament, we go through a lot of issues. Stress here and there, back and forth. This afternoon, we are here talking about Honorable Adda. I can only pray that the good Lord would continue to support him. We can only pray that he will continue to rest peacefully in the bosom of the Almighty God. I pray that the Almighty God will support his family. May the good God strengthen them in this trying moment. It's a difficult situation. When we went to Waluwale, a lot of people were mourning. Not only mourning the Vice President's mother, but they were mourning Honorable Adda as well, because I saw a lot of flyers around. That is the kind of person that Honorable Adda was. I pray that the good Lord will continue to strengthen both the immediate family, the MPP government, Navrongo constituency, and all of us in this chamber, because we've lost a dear brother. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I support the statement, and I pray that the Almighty God would continue to strengthen the family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member for Ho East, Ho West, right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and also to thank our colleague who read a tribute on behalf of our friend and beloved brother who has passed on to the other side of life. Mr. Speaker, I met Honorable Kofi, the late Honorable Kofi Adda, and this was when we came for the first time in 2009, the 5th Parliament as first timers. As usual, when a party loses power and new members come to the House, the idea is that you want to flex around that your party is in power, and others will be looking at you from different angles. But one particular person that our eye caught, especially with the young ones, was Honorable Kofi Adda, who was all over and who did not look at us as people who are from different political parties or different political persuasion. But he blended with us, asked us a lot of questions, and tried as much as possible to guide some of us. Mr. Speaker, he lost his election when we came back to the 6th Parliament. And as we usually laughed at ourselves, that he became a returnee to the 7th Parliament, which we all know he got back. And I closely worked with him in the 7th Parliament when I became the ranking member for Works and Housing, and he also was given the opportunity to serve as the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, anytime we meet, even at the committee level, he allows the technocrats to express themselves and explain things to us, giving them the opportunity to do their work as technical people. Whenever we find problem with issues concerning his department or his ministry, he asks the technical people to respond to those issues, unlike some ministers who will come and they want to be jack of all trades. Even if they don't know what is happening in the various departments, they will want to talk for them. But Kofi Adda wasn't like that. He will allow the heads of department and technical people to speak on issues from their department. Mr. Speaker, just as my two colleagues, the previous speaker has mentioned, it's affable. Honorable late Kofi Adda is someone you can approach, even when you are from other political party. He's willing to assist. When you get to his office, he's willing to sit down with you. I think this should be a lesson to all of us, that in this house and in this political journey, you may not know where you find yourself today or tomorrow. And therefore, when your colleagues come to you in your office, make sure you open your doors to them. Some ministers in this house, Mr. Speaker, will not even allow, when you get to their office, you will sit down and wait as a colleague. But Kofi Adda wasn't like that at all. Mr. Speaker, in all this, one of the things I heard when he passed on, we were in Kenya when we heard that he passed on. But before we went to Kenya, Mr. Speaker, I met Honorable Kofi Adda at the usual eating place, Country Kitchen. And when he saw, he said, "Ima, do you also come here to eat?" I said, "Yes." Then that was about 2 months ago. And then after eating, I was going to pay. I didn't see Kofi Adda sitting, at his place. Then the lady said, "Oh, the man has paid for you." I said, "Who? See the gentleman who greeted you." I said, "What? Kofi has paid for me? Me, I'm a city member. He is a former member of parliament. But he has paid for me." That's the kind of person you are talking about. He doesn't even care whether you belong to his party or not. He's very, very generous in that sense. Mr. Speaker, we've lost a friend, we've lost a brother, we've lost someone who we all know that he is a gentleman. Mr. Speaker, but one thing that I've been thinking about since I heard of this, his death, has to do with our health. Honorable Kofi Adda left this house just last year. Within 10 months, we had his pass on. How could have accounted for that? And he's not the only person, Mr. Speaker. We do not take good care of our health. We come and sit here under this air condition without exercising. We go back, in the night we eat late. And then when we are off this seat and we are home, we just go off like that. With all the things that we have, or with all the experiences, with all the things that we have, we have within ourselves. Mr. Speaker, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our health, so that even if we are no longer in Parliament, we can also contribute to the national development of this nation. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I commiserate with the family and the entire nation and the MPP at large. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's my pleasure to contribute to the discussions on the statement on the passing of my dear brother, Honorable Kofi Adda. Honorable Kofi Adda, before he passed, I met him at the airport. He didn't look unwell. And so it is so sad that he passed so soon. My first encounter with him was when he contested for the first time the Novrongo seat. I had a meeting with him together with the General Secretary then, the Honorable Dambochi. We strategized together on how to win the seat. And God willing, he won the seat for the MPP. That was when I worked closely with him. Subsequently, when he became the Minister for Energy, he did the Tamale Street Lighting Project. I was the mayor of Tamale at the time, and that contributed significantly to the successful hosting of Cannes 2000 2008, of which Tamale was one of the host cities. Honorable Kofi Adda was a gentleman, an accomplished professional. There are many lessons we can learn from his life. He was hardworking. He was time conscious. He loved people. Anytime I encountered him, he will ask, "Where have you been hiding, bro?" That was the man we have lost. We will miss Kofi Adda. And I want to thank the maker of the statement for this tribute. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement on the demise of our colleague, the Honorable Kofi Adda. I met the Honorable Kofi Adda in the mid-80s when one of his younger brothers stayed with us, my father's house in Medina. We didn't know that would become NDC and MPP. His younger sister, Mrs. Rebecca Adda Donto, wife of David Donto, is a very good friend of mine. I can call her a sister. I share in the pain that my colleague, Member of Parliament, has expressed in reading this beautiful tribute to the memory of the late Kofi Adda. Mr. Speaker, it's a gentle reminder to all of us that life is ephemeral, and when we have the opportunity to serve this country, we should not be so colorblind, but seek to bridge the gaps and reach out. When I became the Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, he met me one day and said that you should have joined me in my party. And I said to him that you should have joined me, big brother, in our party, and we laughed about it. We have lost a great guy. We've lost a man who cared for humanity. We've lost a man who cared for people. And as a Catholic, and that's what he was too, I will be saying the Hail Marys on his behalf so that his soul will find eternal rest in the bosom of Abraham. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you very much for the opportunity to join his commiserating with his wife and his children. I thank you.
Yes, Honourable Member for Belkacel.
Yes. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement of the floor, which is essentially to eulogize our departed former colleague, Honourable Kofi Adda. Honourable Speaker, I didn't know that a statement will be made on the floor regarding his passing, and as a typical Akan man, what I'm putting on is not the proper attire. I would have put on cloth because I knew this gentleman so well. He have had very good moments in the cabinet. And I didn't find a man who was so affable and had a lot of weight more than Honorable Kofi Adda. I call him power under control. A very educated individual, so deep, not noisy, not a show off. And I admire his shock absorbers because as a younger man, sometimes I get angry over issues and he'll be tapping me to take it easy, especially when it involves the government. One day we had a debate as to who a politician is. And we wanted to come to a conclusion so that we use it as a way of a guide. So Kofi Adda and I were debating who is a politician. And so we converged on a point and had our own definition of a politician, which we said as follows. A politician is an extremely wise man who decided to be sufficiently foolish in order to bring the crowd along. And obviously, may I quote it again because some of the members didn't hear. Yes. Honorable Kofi Adda and I, in our own debate, we came to this conclusion as to who a politician is. And the conclusion of the matter was that a politician is an extremely wise man who decided to be sufficiently foolish in order to bring the crowd along. And we used to debate these matters. What do I remember him for? What do I remember him for? Honorable Speaker, world-class temperament. One of the things that I'm still working on, sometimes I lose my cool. World-class temperament. A matter will be so stormy and heated, but I will take it in stride. And you will see that at the end of the day, he will weather the storm. Honorable Speaker, I am of the humble view that if a man has not tasted the two wells, that you were in opposition as a member of parliament, and then your government was in power, and then you've never felt the full understanding of being a member of parliament. He tasted both wells, opposition and then government. And eventually, he left us. Somebody said he was generous. I agree. That is what defines us eventually. Now, even if you are mean, how would you be able to serve a crowd unless you show some generosity? And he was always giving to people. And I thank God for his life. Some things have been said about health. Honorable Speaker, it is true. Our medical checkups are very, very important. Because you think you are very normal, and one day a doctor will tell you, you have hypertension. But you are not on any medication. So as members of parliament, by reason of the weight of what we do, and the matters which affect our health, but we think, we should ignore them, we could be hurt for that. So we should do our medical checkups well. Again, we educated that if a man is 40 years old and you will not exercise his body, then he is in crisis. Because it will catch up with you if you do not exercise your body. It is very important that this august house, encourages us to do physio and the rest of them, but we should also do our very best to exercise. Honorable Speaker, I think it is important, as we always do, that this House will give our brother in due course a befitting send-off. He served us so well. Our representation should be very strong, as well as our pocket, especially when he left behind. We are solemnizing a colleague, and my brother should have the occasion at hand. I crave your kind indulgence. Yes. So, I know you put a very good representation together for us to send him a befitting send-off, and also help the widow and the children. Finally, Honorable Speaker, there's something that I find very interesting, and it is in the sense that the day a man is born, he starts dying. That's what the philosophers say. And that death is an eventual inevitability. All of us, we are in a queue. And there's nobody who's going to stay alive. But we should always bear in mind that our service is to people. And this is what you'll be remembered for, which is more important than the office you occupy. And I think what you'll be remembered for more than compensates for everything. He was a man with a good heart for the people. And my heart goes out to the bereaved family, and may his soul rest in peace. I thank the maker of the statement for doing us the honor of bringing us to terms with the passing of our dear brother. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your kind indulgence.
Honorable Member for Bulgaria, you still want to comment? I learned that the name Aine means God. Is that true? Aine. I learned that it translates God.
That is so, Mr. Speaker.
You've kept such a beautiful thing from the rest of us. So now I'll call you Honorable God. The Honorable God kindly make this contribution.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, it will not be proper to call me Honorable God because it will mean that I'm playing God. And I'm not a man of hubris.
If you are something, they'll call you Nyame. It's the same thing.
That is so. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I think it was with deep sorrow and shock that I learned of the death of Honorable Kofi Adda. In fact, I consider it a big personal loss to me because I got to know the Honorable Adda in the run-up to the 2000 elections. He was looking for a lawyer to partner with him in the execution of a consultancy contract that he had won. He was a big-time management consultant at the time, and I was one of the young lawyers that he recruited to help him with the execution of that contract. And that is how we met for the first time. Somehow or another, we got to talking politics, and I got to realize that at that point in time, he was a member of the, or let me say, a sympathizer of the National Democratic Congress, just as myself. And I remember distinctly, the two of us flirted with the National Reform Party of Guzitano in the run-up to the 2000 elections. And so it came as a surprise to me in 2009 when he stood on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. So I went to him and I said, have you changed your ideology from social democrat to believing in property-owning democracy? He laughed and told me that in politics, sometimes you take certain strategic decisions, but you don't abandon your ideological moraines. And then that was the end of the story with respect to his transition from being someone that I knew as sympathizing with a social democratic party to a market-oriented, liberal, capitalist party. Mr. Speaker, I continue to have personal relations with him when he was in Parliament, and I do remember distinctly that he was a man who did not allow party colors to stand in the way of his relations with his colleagues here in Parliament. I remember distinctly when he represented His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in July of 2018 to inaugurate the Bolga East District Assembly. As the MP for the area, I was there with him, and he delivered a very fantastic speech and mentioned the fact that as Minister for Water Resources, he was going to ensure that the district had its fair share, of water. And so I publicly committed him and told him that if he does not deliver on his promise, I was going to come to Navrongo Central to campaign against him. And we laughed about it. But he told me that I'm his good junior brother and that there's a big project that was coming. I think it's the district water, it's regional in nature. We approved an agreement in this house on it. And Mr. Speaker, true to his word, that project is ongoing. The day that I heard that he died, I was so sad. And I remember when I went to the constituency and I was driving past the project, I stopped to say a prayer for him and to thank God for his life, for what he has done for my people. The project hasn't ended. It hasn't been completed yet. But Mr. Speaker, I am sure the people of Bolga East are going to enjoy clean, potable water as a result of the effort of the late Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda. And Mr. Speaker, lastly, I want to say that this was a man of integrity. a man of his words. I remember distinctly where he was campaigning in Navrongo Central. One of the things that came up during the course of the campaign was the fact that he spoke his mind even at the peril of losing an election. And I think that is the kind of person that we need, the people of integrity who should populate the political space of our country. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the maker of the statement and Parliament in general for honoring the memory of a great man and a great politician. Thank you.
Honorable Member for, is that Kwadaso? Very well.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the maker of the statement. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Kofi Adda was one of the finest politicians this country has ever produced. Somebody who worked with the public sector and also the private sector. As Speaker, he worked with Deloitte and Touche. He was also director for Omni Consulting International in the private sector. He also worked with the Ministry of Finance, and he became a member of Parliament for Navrongo Central in 2003 after the demise of John Achuliwo in the by-election. He went ahead to retake the seat in the year 2004 and was appointed by His Excellency John Kofi as the Minister for Manpower Development and Employment. In April 2006, he was reshuffled and made substantive minister at the Ministry of Energy. Under the tenure of Nana Akufo-Addo, he was made Minister for Sanitation and Aviation. We are talking about somebody who has acquitted himself uniquely in the discharge of his service to Mother Ghana. And I'm praying that his sterling attributes will influence us all to live not only for ourselves, but for our beloved country. As Speaker, when I heard of his demise, I was shocked because it didn't seem that he was somebody who was unwell. But as previous speakers have alluded to, it means that we must be mindful of ourselves as individuals, as we are contributing our quota to ensure the development and progress of this country. Our health must also be on the front burner so that we don't exit this life without accomplishing our mission on earth. Now, Speaker, so regular checkups, I think, is something that we don't have to tolerate because it can happen to any one of us. I want to wish him well wherever he is, because his death is a great loss to the new political party and also to the political class of this country. I wish him well, his family well, and I hope that this House and the government will give him a befitting burial to merit what he did for this country. Now, Speaker, on that note, I want to thank you for the opportunity to express my appreciation to the memory of this great man that Ghana produced. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think a lot has been said about Honorable Kofi Adda and his working life. I'm just trying to share a little about Kofi Adda back home in his hometown. Kofi Adda happens to be my nephew. The mother is from our place, Chama. Honorable Kofi Adda is one of the few politicians I have known before coming to Parliament that they know so that he belonged to a particular party, once back in the community. This is a man who will help everybody, no matter where you are from. After his death, A good number of people called me and told me what he has done for them. Like I said, you meet Kofi Adda in a bar, wherever, he would foot the bill there. This is a man who has shown that politics is not about your party alone, but politics is about everybody. I think we've lost a great man in the Katsina-Nankana area. We pray that his soul will rest in peace. He's a great man. We'll do our best to bury him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'll give you the last word before I come to leaders.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I wish to associate myself with the kind words that have been spoken of Honorable Kofi Adda. And I join in commiserating with the family and members of his party. Honorable Kofi Adda indeed was a gentleman, and one left his presence feeling enriched in wisdom and knowledge and not feeling less. He appreciated people from all walks of life and took on board views even when they were divergent from his. I recall one time an interaction I had with him when we both traveled from Tamale to Accra. And that was when he had been reassigned to the aviation ministry. And we lamented about the state of our former international terminal, Terminal 2, and how he, together with myself, discussed what could be done with Terminal 2, given the resources that are there and the opportunity that we could derive from it as a country. He took advantage to also share with me some of the interventions that he had led or initiated when he was Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing. Water resources and sanitation. And that included some of the water projects that Honorable Dr. Aini spoke of. One also was for the benefit of the Tamale metropolis. And we took the advantage of that time to discuss the nitty-gritties. And it is on that note and many other conversations I had with him with regards to policy that I came to the conclusion that he was not just a gentleman, he was not just a politician, but he was also a policy guru, one who paid attention to the drafting of policy and took part as a politician in the implementation as well. And Mr. Speaker, that is what we need to promote more, so that people who understand policy and have the opportunity to implement same get to work and utilize all the very beautiful policies and programs that we have on books that are gathering dust on shelves. Mr. Speaker, like I said, he was a pleasant fellow, and every time one had an interaction with him, you left feeling very, very enriched in knowledge and feeling quite important as well. And I will just want to conclude by adding some few thoughts to the fact that the remembrance of the dead, we are told, is a warning to those of us living. And like many have already indicated, this was a man who didn't look sick at all until his demise. And that is why we all need to be grateful for whatever minute that we spend on this earth. I have said that growing is the euphemism for dying. So as we grow, it is just, when we say we are growing, it's just the euphemism for we are dying. And so we need to prepare for the inevitable, even as we enjoy whatever opportunities that life presents to us. And so, Mr. Speaker, on this note, I will want to once again commiserate with the family and the members of his party, especially the constituency that he held before the 8th Parliament, and wish that the good Lord will grant him a perfect place to rest after his hard, toils and contributions to the development of this country. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I associate myself with the maker of the statement, and I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Minority leadership first, or think it's enough?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to associate myself with the maker of the statement, former colleague, Honorable Kofi Adda. Kofi Adda in 2005, when I entered Parliament for the first time. And Mr. Speaker, we've been since that time until his demise a few days ago. A lot has been said about the late Kofi Adda, somebody who was willing to associate himself and accommodate everybody. In fact, we call ourselves brothers. And so, anytime that he sees me, he calls me my brother. And I also do the same. When he was the Minister for Aviation, and there were issues about the new airport, the Terminal 3, where the loan that was taken by the airport company, which was supported by government in order to build the airport. When the issue about the tax component that we ceded to the airport company in order to raise enough revenue to pay for the loan came to the Committee of Finance, which I chaired at the time. The Speaker, he was willing, as a minister, when he became a minister later, he was willing to go by the terms of that agreement. So, Speaker, his demise is a loss to us as a Parliament of Ghana, and his loss is a big loss to his constituents and his party, the New Patriotic Party, and Ghana as a whole. And as said by one of the members about the condition under which we operate as members of Parliament. So, Speaker, it should be a lesson for all of us to take good care of ourselves in terms of our health needs, because we sit down, we try to satisfy our constituents, we try to attend to their needs all the time, forgetting about ourselves, how we can also take care of ourselves in terms of our health need. So that, Mr. Speaker, we don't have this type of issues coming when you leave Parliament, not long, issues about your health set in, at the time that you don't even have any flow of income in order to take care of your medication and others. So, Mr. Speaker, this statement is a good one, and I think that the leadership of Parliament and management of Parliament should look at that, what should be done in terms of members of Parliament who will no more come back to the House, so that we don't have this sad news. Immediately members leave Parliament, they don't come back. This sad news keep flowing. So, Mr. Speaker, I also associate myself with and we wish the family well. We give our condolences to the people of Navrongo Central, and I believe strongly that when the burial time comes, a delegation of Parliament will definitely be represented at the funeral. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, George.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and I thank the maker of the statement on eulogizing Honourable Joseph Kofi Adda. Honourable Joseph Kofi Adda was a member of this House for 13 years, having come through the by-election in 2003, retaining the seat in 2004, winning the seat again in 2008. He lost the seat in 2012 and was able to recapture the seat again in 2016. He is a man who has actually, or who really lived his life and contributes immensely to the development of this country. If we all remember, in 2005, when he was appointed the Minister for Manpower and Employment, he brought a lot of reform to that sector. And in 2006, he was made the Minister for Energy. And it was through his term as the Minister of Energy that we discovered oil. And he brought the oil gallon, let me put it that way, to Parliament in 2007 and show it here that at Cape 3 Point, oil was discovered and physical evidence was shown to this House. This is a man in 2017, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, made his Minister for Water and Sanitation. He brought a lot of reforms in the water sector. Sanitation actually was reinforced, and everywhere you go, you see that the model under YEA sanitation was rolled on. And our constituents, we had people who would sweep on the floors and do a lot of things just to be able to help Ghana become very clean. Not only that, when he was made the Minister for Aviation, like my senior, the Deputy Minority Leader said, at the Terminal 3, he brought a lot of changes. And when you go to the airport, you will see that through his hard work and the dedication to service, he was able to do a lot. Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda, we pray that God should forgive him. We pray that he should be in the hands of good angels. And we pray that we, those who are still alive, we have good health, and Parliament should actually look at the services of MPs who are not back or who might not be coming back to the House. It is very terrible and very frustrating when you meet our colleagues who are unable to return, and in a matter of months, their health or their other social responsibility become a huge challenge to them. I pray that this House will, and leadership and the speakership will have a look at it so that we'll be able to help our colleagues. And if we could have a routine exercise among members of Parliament, so that even if it is every quarter, we go to the mountains or have a keep fit, just to keep us fit. We are doing a lot, forgetting our health, but Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda was actually playing his second half because he was 65 years, born in 1956 until 2021. When I say second half, my nephew, Alas and Soyini, when you get to 50, there's no guarantee that you get another 50. So it is a second half you are playing after 50 years. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank the maker of the statement, and I wish Honorable Joseph Kofi Adda will be in the hands of good angels and the mercy of the Lord. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, our colleague, or former colleague, Honourable Kofi Adda, one of our finest gentlemen, dedicated member of Parliament. It's a pity that, like all of us, when we are walking back and forth, sometimes we forget that we ourselves also have problems that we must pay attention to. We are almost always focused on community problems, other individuals' problems. We forget that our health matters. Regret very much the death of our colleague. As is our practice, we shall rise and observe a minute silence in memory of our brother. All the faithful departed, rest in peace. Amen. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's past 3 p.m. We are in your hands for adjournment.
Very well. Yes. Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I totally agree with my honorable colleague on the other side. But I learned, Mr. Speaker, today happened to be one of the good days in the life of this House because one of our deputy clerks or our parliamentary service staff has written a book on legislative systems in Ghana, and the launch is being undertaken at the foyer.
Very well. I was just going
So I'm just reminding you so that you entreat members to be there. We are in your hands, Mr. Speaker.
I was actually going to make that announcement. He's taking the sail out of my wind, the wind out of my sail. So, a lot of members, we kindly reminded that a book launch on Parliament is being done at the foyer right after here. I encourage all members who can to be at the function. Thank you. On that note, the House is adjourned to tomorrow, Friday at 10 o'clock. Yes. At 10 o'clock in the forenoon.